Hello everyone, welcome to our annual update for our video game collections, going over our PS4 and PS5 this time. Starting off with our systems, we have this beautiful limited edition Days of Play for our PS4.
I love this. It's so pretty.
Gorgeous design, really like that one. And the controllers that we have for the system, really love the one that goes with this Days of Play. The little PlayStation button symbols on the touchpad, as well as this nice forest green.
It's such a pretty color.
And for our PS5, in this huge box, doesn't fit on the camera in one shot, this huge God of War Ragnarok edition PS5. When we finally got one, we were waiting years.
Forever.
Yeah, and finally was able to get this beautiful edition.
And we have that inside the box.
Yes, this beautiful little white controller that comes with it, but we don't really use that one. Since we each have our own.
This is my favorite thing ever.
Amanda's
Stefan got that for me.
God of War Ragnarok Special Edition controller to go with it. And then the one I use, my neon pink. I just really like this shade and color with the black on it. The one's really nice, so that's the one I use. Starting off with one you put a ton of time into.
Yes, I finished that. It's a great game, Arcade Paradise. I really enjoyed this. I wish some of the DLC stuff just came with it, but super fun.
Yeah, really cool idea of running your own arcade. And one we both played a ton of.
It's Astrobot.
Astrobot.
I wish Playroom had its own physical, but this was such a superior game in every way, and I really hope they continue with this franchise.
Yeah, this is one of the best platformers I ever played. It was your game of the year.
Best platformer.
My second favorite.
No, best platformer ever.
Then we have the Bard's Tale, the remaster, which I originally played this on the PS2, and I loved the sense of humor. It's not really related to the older Bard's Tale games, only kind of feels more like those Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance games, but with some really funny, crass humor and good magic system. A lot of fun. It's weird that this one got a remaster.
A limited run.
Is this one a limited run?
Yeah, it
is a limited run.
Limited run.
Then Balan Wonderworld.
So frustrating. I feel like this game gets so much hate. It's not a great game, it's not the perfect game, but it's a good game. And because it's a Square Enix game, if you look at the side of it, it's
yeah.
and
A lot of the Square ones are just the...
No, Square Enix.
Square, yeah.
I don't know why everyone says Square. It's not Square. It's Square Enix.
Trying to relive the glory days.
It's a cute little platformer. It's not anything amazing, but it's not anything horrible, and I think everybody gives it so much hate.
And we have Biomutant.
This game is so frustrating. I hate ones where you have to make your own character from scratch. It's way too stressful for me, and I want a character. Give me a character with a name and a personality.
Yeah, I didn't play this one at all, so I have no opinion. But I did play Black Sad, and I really love this. Black Sad Under the Skin. This was a great detective story, a lot more about choosing dialogue options and finding clues rather than any kind of action or anything like that. And I really enjoyed that game.
And that's the limited edition.
Yes,
postcards
and lenticular and all kinds of stuff. And Broken Age, which is one that both of us want to play, haven't gotten around to yet. It's on our backlog, so we both want to check that out.
There's a very small backlog.
Yeah.
It's actually, I was looking at it the other day, and there's a lot of stuff that either one or the other has played.
Yeah, there are very few games. Book of Unwritten Tales 2.
Which we have not played.
One I know you put a ton of time into.
Yes.
Bugsnax.
I platinumed this.
Yeah,
this is such a good game. I haven't played the DLC. I need to go back and do that. But I love Fangamer. They're such a great publisher.
Capcom Fighting Collection, which I think you played a bunch of this too, didn't you?
Yeah, I tried
collection.
everything, but I actually really enjoy these collections. I really hope they do more of them, because they're great. It's a great way to get all kinds of old games that I probably couldn't afford.
Then this is one I know you're waiting for us both to play together. We have Cat Quest and Cat Quest 2.
I think there's a third one now. It's an RPG you can play together. Celeste, another limited run version of this. There's a lot of different versions of Celeste. Haven't played it yet, but really interesting.
Chariot.
Another limited run. It's a physics-based kind of kart game.
Close to the Sun. I absolutely loved this game. You watched me play a good deal of it.
Yeah, I got it for myself, and I don't think I'll be able to play it.
Yeah, I don't think you'll like it after watching and playing it through, but I thought it was fantastic and definitely a bit of a hidden gem for the PS4. And then we have this big, beautiful storybook edition of The Cruel King and the Great Hero.
I'm so glad they made a sequel to, well, not really a sequel, but they made another game. These guys are great, and I can't wait for the next thing they put out. They're such beautiful games. This one's an RPG, and it's a very simple RPG, but absolutely gorgeous.
A beautiful kind of storybook presentation.
You played this too.
Yes, I played that one as well. Deathmark.
And I believe there is a Deathmark 2. I think it's just 2 right now, but we do not have that yet.
One you're currently playing.
I am. This is the remaster of Destroy All Humans. This is a PS2 game?
Yes, I originally played it on PS2, the first 2 games in the series.
Really fun. Just nice, fun game.
Yeah.
And I wish there were more like this. There's such a big catalog, like a back catalog, that they just don't. Speaking of back catalogs they don't put out, some Sega Genesis games.
Yep. And the Super Nintendo and all the different versions here with Aladdin and the Lion King.
I wish they'd do Beauty and the Beast and Toy Story and all the other Disney ones.
Yeah, because the only other one they re-released it, with the Jungle Book, I think?
Yeah,
that's
but
about
we already
it.
have the 2.
Yeah, and Jungle Book was not really a favorite of mine. One I was pretty disappointed in, Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. It just wasn't for me. In general, I'm not a big visual novel person, but I don't know, I had some hopes for this one, and it didn't capture my attention, and it wasn't quite as.
I thought it was gonna be like Catherine for you.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. This one just didn't capture my attention. I don't know, and it wasn't as weird and disturbing as people said it was. Like, just something about it. It wasn't for me. It really just wasn't for me. Didn't really like that one. The opposite though, I loved the Dragon Quest Heroes.
You played so much of that.
And I'll pull out the sequel, the Dragon Quest Heroes 2. I mean, these are amazing. I really like the Dynasty Warriors games when they are based on an existing IP, more than the traditional Dynasty Warriors or Samurai Warriors games, like the Gundam ones of these, and there's the Zelda, but these are easily my favorite. The Dragon Quest ones, I think they're fantastic.
And here's one that I played a lot of.
Earth Knight.
Earth Knight. I love this. This is like a Sega, just an arcade game. It's so good, and you have to just keep playing it and upgrade and get better and better, and it's just so cool and so 90s. And this is a limited run too, I believe.
Now, starting the Final Fantasy section with a game I can't believe is so expensive now. I'm glad I was able to get it. The Final Fantasy 1 through 6 collection, the Pixel Remaster.
And this is the original from Square Enix.
Yes,
I
the
don't know
original
how
ROM.
you have this.
Yeah, I magically got on at, I don't know, what was like 1 in the morning. Some weird time that I got on and I was able to get it. I was super happy because I love these games. And I've been slowly over the time replaying them through this collection. It's a beautiful collection. It's amazing to be able to have 6 classic Final Fantasy games on one disc.
Yes.
That's just an incredible thing. Then after Final Fantasy VI, we start getting into the Final Fantasy VII collection.
Oh my gosh.
We have Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, and I think this for me was a huge step up from the PSP version, which I already liked, but this was amazing. This is definitely my go-to version of that game now. As part of the Final Fantasy VII with the Deluxe Edition for Remake, the first part of this remake trilogy for the PS4. Then for the PlayStation 5, the Remake Integrated Edition.
The Please Give Me All of Your Money edition.
Yes, the Please Give Me All Your Money series, and we'll see if these come to the Switch too then this year. We'll see.
Oh my gosh.
I have another copy of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I
need
love those games.
Give them more money.
Yes. And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for the PS5, the matching deluxe edition, which
That's
I
only
love.
on PS5.
Yes,
exactly.
yeah, and I love how it looks like the PS4 one. They go together
Oh, how
with
nice.
Remake, so I really...
And those have steelbooks inside them, correct?
Those have steelbooks. I have a regular edition in there, and then the steelbook edition separate for Rebirth. And then a European exclusive Final Fantasy VIII. 8 and 7 were released together on the Switch, and then 8 was just released separately on the PS4 in Europe.
That's the only way you can get it on the PS4, correct?
Yep, that's the only way on the PS4 physically. And then we have the 10 and 10-2 collection, the remaster.
The US edition, which 10.2 is digital?
That's on the Switch.
That's on the Switch, okay.
Yeah, so
both of them are on that.
Yes. And the limited edition steelbook of Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age.
It's such a pretty edition.
Yeah, it's a beautiful edition. We actually had the original, just the plain edition, and I found the steelbook at a thrift store years later. So that was really cool. And we have Flipping Death. Very creative game.
You did not enjoy this as much as I did. This was I love the studio. They're so great, and they're just so funny.
I appreciate the really very original mechanics of it and how it interacts with the story, but just gameplay-wise, it wasn't for me. It was one of those I would prefer just watching you play a bit of it, because you really like that. Another huge collection of classic games, the Sega Genesis Classics Collection. One of the most frustrating games in the collection. We have the Girl and the Robot Deluxe Edition, and it's frustrating because the first hour or so of this game, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great little indie game, and then after that, it just became a frustrating mess.
I can't wait to play this. I really want to.
Maybe you'll find it. I don't know.
I'm hoping I can get through it because it's just so beautiful.
That first hour or so, I loved. Then getting to some real modern masterpieces with God of War. One of your absolute favorite games ever.
Such a beautiful game.
Beautiful steelbook.
Yes, we have the big box with the statue and
everything.
Map and everything in it.
And God of War Ragnarok.
Which somehow got better.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know how they improved on that, and I'm so excited for the next one.
Then we have Greedfall, a pirate RPG of sorts.
I really want to play this. This one we haven't played yet. I'm excited to play this eventually. Ignore the cat behind the curtain.
And then we have Heaven's Vault, probably one of the more creative ideas for a game that I've seen in years.
And this is through Strictly Limited.
Horizon Zero Dawn, Complete Edition.
I'm so frustrated. I want to give this another chance, but I just couldn't get into this.
Yeah, we both tried it, and neither of us liked it.
I don't know. Has anyone else had this problem?
And
it's one of those things that I feel like I should really like, and I just don't.
The Inner World, and this is a 2-game collection, right? You played these.
Yes, it's Inner World and the Inner World, The Last Monk, or Last Wind Monk. This is just a point-and-click adventure, which is really fun, but sometimes the rationales between how you get into things, it makes no sense, but really funny story.
So the Moon Logic.
Yes.
One of the all-time classics of the PS2, Jak and Daxter, The Precursor Legacy.
I don't understand why limited run, this is a limited run, why they haven't come out with this on the PS5, because they've done a lot of, like, just redoing it for the PS5, and this is so expensive. It's so unnecessarily expensive.
Glad we have it, because one of the few platformers that I've gone back and replayed multiple times over the years.
Speaking of platformer, we have KO the Kangaroo. Has some performance issues, but really fun, cute little platformer that reminds me of N64 PS1 era.
Kaze and the Wild Masks. Did you play this one yet?
Yes, I have. This is very challenging, but I enjoyed it. It's just a really cute little fun, like, puzzle platformer. It's kind of a side-scrolling one.
I like the animation style and the tiny bit that I remember seeing.
Very hardcore.
I know you'll really like this one. The Kenna, Bridge of Spirits.
This is so beautiful. I don't know why more people haven't played it. I think it was free on PlayStation Plus. So wonderful, and I really love this. This was great.
It looks like a really good animated movie. Like, it's beautiful.
What meow?
Meow. One of the most frustrating experiences I've ever had with a video game. We had this Kiwi.
I just wanted to play with.
I know, because I feel like it definitely is set up for multiplayer, really.
Yeah, it's really hard to play one player.
We tried playing it together, and I hated it so much.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult with two people, but It was so cute. You play as a little kiwi. I don't know.
It was cute, but it wasn't. I didn't like it. Like it just didn't.
It had a lot
sit
of
well with me.
issues, and I think you need two people who want to
Want
play it.
Yeah. Two all-time platformer classics in one collection: the Klonoa Fantasy Reverie series, Klonoa 1 and 2.
I just don't like it. It's so cute.
And you just had a hard time with it. You found it really difficult.
Yeah, I think the camera is weird for me for some reason.
I love these games a lot. I remember playing them and on the PS1 and the Wii and the PS2 for Klonoa 2, and I just really love them. And I hope we get a collection of the rest of the Klonoa games, like the Wonder Swan games, or a third game, whatever. The Last of Us Remastered, this is another one that for me that I played and just it didn't grab me at all. Like, I was not into it.
This is another one like Horizon where I need to go back and redo it and give it another chance. I don't, it's so dark. It's so dark. I have such a problem. I don't know if anyone else has problems with dark games.
Visually, yeah.
It's really hard.
I don't know, for me, even like the storytelling was good, but it was just, it felt like it was really good storytelling for people who don't play a lot of story-based games. Is what it felt like to me. Like it just wasn't. It was good. It just wasn't. I was let down from the hype.
I really liked the actual show though.
Yeah.
That was good.
Legend of K Anniversary.
This is a PS2 game?
I think it was. I think the remaster was like on the Wii U. I've never played. You want to play this? I didn't play it.
I played this and it was decent. It was a decent game. I've never played the original, but I don't know if I would play it again.
And from the studio who did the Cruel King and the Great Hero, we have The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince in this beautiful box set.
This is the better story, but it's definitely a harder game to play. It's more of a puzzle game. You're leading the prince around who's blind. And oh, this is so beautiful. I love the music in these and the storytelling and just the paper quality of it. It's just so creative.
Another one I know is a huge time sink for you. We have Little Dragon's Cafe.
I love games like this, and I hate games like this because they're frustrating. But I really like them.
And
I don't know.
The sheer amount of time.
Yes.
Like, Lumote.
This is a limited run, but I don't think a numbered limited run. It's just a little puzzly game. Pretty colors.
And the Dark Pictures anthology, The Man of Medan, which I like these short little adventures, a lot of the just choice-driven narratives, and again, I like that it is a very short, kind of like extra long, like for a movie type style. I don't want every game to be this massive thing. There's a lot of replayability as well to try different variations and choices and see who lives and dies. The remake of Medieval, which was a great PS1 game.
I'm so upset that they kind of seem to have given up on Medieval 2. Let me know if you know anything about the sequel, but I haven't seen anything in years. I feel like it's done. I enjoyed this. This was really fun. And again, I wish they'd come out with more of these. I love the PS1, PS2 library, and I want to see more.
Surprisingly good movie tie-in game.
Yes.
Monkey King Hero is Back. Animated movie from China with Jackie Chan. That was just kind of an okay little family animated movie. Nothing great. I actually think the game even did a better job of presenting the story.
This was fantastic.
It was surprisingly fun for just a movie tie-in game. It was good.
This is definitely one of the best movie tie-in games that I've, because usually they're really cheap and have a lot of glitches and problems, and this really didn't.
Yeah.
It was really well done.
Super entertaining. This beautiful edition of Mulaka.
This is from First Press Games, which is a controversial company. They have all kinds of issues, but we got this and we got it no problem. And I actually pre-ordered this one.
Yeah.
But I love these editions. It's so frustrating.
Beautiful box set and everything.
This is such a beautiful game, and I love the history behind it. And I love getting games from other countries and cultures. I think it's just an awesome game.
If you watched us talking about our favorite games of 2024, Amanda also had a dishonorable mention, and here it is, The Outbound Ghost.
Shame on everyone.
And
this was upsetting.
I watched you play a little bit of it, and man, the performance issues where I've never seen a game crash the PS4, and like, yeah, oh my gosh.
This was very frustrating because it's such a beautiful, it's the Paper Mario style and so beautiful. The soundtrack was great. The battle system is fantastic. But other than that, it's just a mess. Speaking of
A
messes,
Sega CD classic, Night Trap. And I think what's great about this is not only just the ability to play through this bizarre full motion game from a real like window into another time, but also be able to just kind of watch the scenes from it and have the little bit of documentary and things that are with it, like all the other stuff that really sells it. Because honestly, I couldn't just replay Night Trap more than once or twice, but all the other things that were added to this edition make it just it's an interesting window in time. I also feel like that it's because I grew up in that time that I enjoy the awkwardness of it.
I think they should do more FMV.
They've done a few, but none that have really interested me. I think the problem is the majority ones they've done are ones that were on stuff like the Sega CD, and the ones that we think of were all PC ones.
Well, they're starting
And they
to do
haven't really
PC
done.
games.
So hopefully more. I don't know. It
But
seems like
I would love to see more PC games.
Oh yes, absolutely. I think that's what's been lost to time more than anything on consoles even.
Yeah.
Ni no Kuni, the remastered of Wrath of the White Witch. Absolutely love the first Ni no Kuni game. An instant level 5 classic RPG. I was not as in love with Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom. It didn't have quite the same magic of that first game. It just felt like an average to maybe slightly above average RPG. Like a million other games I'd played, even though it had a couple of mechanics that were interesting, but yeah, overall, it was not quite the experience of the first one. A little disappointing. And then the Order 1886, which I think we both enjoyed overall for what it was, and kind of wish that it just kind of ends, that there was a sequel, which will never happen because this in its time came out and did not do well.
Yeah, but I mean, we paid very little for it, and
Yeah.
we both enjoyed it. For me, it's too much of a shooter, and it's too dark. Again, with the darkness, I don't know why modern things have to be dark, but I really like the story, and I feel like they could have fixed a lot of stuff in the sequel. But
Yeah, this would be a
it's a
great
shame.
example for a game to get just a remaster and even just a little bit of a continuation just to kind of wrap up the story, even if it's shorter than the original vision.
Yes,
Like, this would be a prime candidate for like a remaster project.
definitely.
Next we have a fantastic remake that I don't know what is going on with the second game, but we have Panzer Dragoon. I loved this as a remake. As someone who played it originally on the Sega Saturn, thought this was brilliant. I loved every second of it, and they're supposed to be doing the second game, but it's been years, and I've heard basically nothing, so I don't know that's going to happen, but I thought this was fantastic.
Well, I think part of that problem is the fact that it's also limited run, and limited run does way too much stuff.
Well, they're just publishing the physical copies.
Yeah,
Only the
but
company that's doing it, I think the problem is that it's the Sega property. Sega's not doing it themselves. They farm this stuff out to smaller companies, like really tiny teams.
I just wish there would be more. They're so good.
Yeah. Another really good remake, Persona 3 Reload. It's an interesting case where there are still some aspects of it where the original is the superior version, but there are enough things in here that make the experience more user-friendly and just more smooth that this would be kind of my go-to copy if I return to Persona 3. So really happy that came out. Persona 5. It's a good game, but it's my least favorite Persona, tied with Persona 1. The hype for it is just bizarre, and I feel like it's just weird. It seems like there are a lot of people that only started with Persona 5 or maybe 4 and 5 and kind of talk this up as one of the greatest RPGs of all time, and it was decent, but not one of my favorites in the franchise.
Puyo Puyo
Puyo
Tetris!
This is one of the
Woohoo!
first games we ever had for the PS4.
Yes, and I wish there were more games like this on the PS4. Unfortunately, the games that are like this cost the same amount as your Persona game, which
Yeah.
I can't justify. But really fun game and kind of a cool mashup to have those two things together.
Putty Squad.
This was a failed Amiga game, which I really enjoy having these things that, like, it's a time capsule, and being able to play them all on the same system is really nice for me. I enjoy that.
One you still need to play because I know you're going to like it, but we have The Quarry. I thought this was fantastic, and this is definitely, from Supermassive Games, I think the best project they've done so far. Definitely the biggest. But this really, I think, is the best example of that idea of all the different, choices, kind of choose your own adventure books turned into a video game. Really thought this was fantastic.
This is your favorite one of them all.
Yeah, easily. Easily.
All
Ratchet and
right,
Clank.
it's Ratchet and Clank. I love them.
The remake of the first game, plus a lot of stuff from the movie put in. So it's not just like the straight remake of the original game.
It's really good. I had so much fun playing this. But you know what I had more fun playing? I had more fun playing this, the sequel. That
Yeah.
was so great.
This
like,
is easily my favorite in that entire franchise.
10 out of 10,
Yeah.
like perfect game. Like this was just amazing.
Looking forward to a sequel once they
Yes.
get done with all the other projects they're working on, because this was
cannot wait.
brilliant. It's another one that I really wanted to give a try that I was not super into. We have Root Letter, Last Answer. This is Day 1 edition. It's a nice box set, and it has two variations which I think are interesting, with the original, the animated, and then live action images as well. They kind of redid it, so it's kind of almost like two versions of the game. And again, this is interesting, and I think the visual novels just aren't for me. This I found to be more interesting than a lot of the other ones I tried, but yeah, and I just think the style of the visual novels isn't for me, and they're too long for what they are. I feel like a lot of them, if they were maybe a quarter of the length, because it's not quite the same as reading a book, it's not quite the same as playing a video game, it's just kind of weird in between that. I just feel like the style doesn't quite work for me.
I don't know. I feel like I would like them, but again, it's the same thing as the puzzle games. I just can't justify spending 50, 60 bucks on something that's just like a visual novel.
Yeah. Sakuna of Rice and Ruin.
Again, this is like Little Dragon's Cafe. I want to like the style of game, like the girl gamer games.
Yeah.
I guess, like the farming and I can only tolerate so much of it, even though I really like it. I don't know why. I'm just not a good girl.
Yeah, you are much
Not
more.
good at being a girl.
You are much more of a God of War girl. That's more your. This one of the most underrated games of this entire console generation.
I really
Wars.
thought this was going to be hard to get.
Yeah,
I pre-ordered this for you, and I thought, there's no way.
I wish this had done well, not just because I think it's a fantastic game, super underrated, and I would love a sequel, but I was really hoping that this would lead to remakes of the older games. That was even more than a sequel. That's really why I wanted this to do well, because I really enjoy it, but I can imagine with this style, like a remake of those original 4 games, especially the third one, the Paris one, would have been brilliant. And I don't know why this series has never been able to take off in the West, and this didn't do super well. I really thought this was going to be a hit, and it wasn't.
I was convinced that was going to be hard to find, and so I made sure I pre-ordered it, and so frustrating.
Another one that I'm a little mixed on, Sandland. Really wanted to grab this for the PS5, mostly because
The
it's
same reason everyone else grabbed
well,
it for
yeah,
the
because
PS5.
Akira Toriyama passed away, and it was interesting to see an adaptation of that in this video game form, and I think they did a really good job, and I like the big open world kind of feel, the desert, but at the same time, it also, that environment and things, it was fun, but it I don't know, something about it felt a little lackluster. It wasn't as fun to explore the world as I wanted it to be, and it was an okay experience. It was a fun game, but I don't know if it's one I would really ever get back into again. It was a fun kind of one-time game for me.
It's
Sandland.
weird because it looks like Dragon Quest because it's the same art
Yeah.
style, but you definitely weren't as like involved. Like Dragon Quest, it's hard to get you to pay attention to other things.
Yeah.
This I could get you to listen to me, so that's not good.
One of the games on our backlog that I really want to get into this year, we have Secret of Mana. I'm currently playing the original version on the Mana Collection on the Switch.
Yeah,
And so I've been holding off on, we've had this for a while, the remake,
we have.
but I've been waiting I wanted to replay the original one, because I hadn't played it since the Super Nintendo, so I wanted to replay the original one again before I started getting into this. So once I'm finished that, probably not till later because the Yakuza game's coming, but eventually this year I do want to get into this remake, and I know they did a remake of the third game as well, but I want to play this first and see how that goes.
Shadow of Mordor.
Shadow of Mordor.
And there's another one, isn't there?
I believe so. I'll have to ask my brother. He's the
he's the expert.
the authority on Tolkien. And now into series you've been blasting through and loving, Shantae.
I played this whole series and I love it so much. This is the original Shantae. This is a limited run version. I'd prefer all these on the Switch, but they are so much money on the Switch. This
Risky's
is
Revenge.
Risky's
PS5.
Revenge. This is the director's cut. And they're just so good. And I really, really like them. They're so 90s.
Another PS5 with Pirate's Curse.
I wish I had it on the Switch. This is a very expensive game, but fantastic. That's my number 3 as far as Shantae.
Half Genie Hero. This is the first one you played, right?
This is the first one I played, and I think this is my favorite. It's so well done. I really enjoyed it.
I'm pretty sure. I think this is. If you know, let me know down below. I think this was on the Wii U as well. I think that was the one that first caught my eye. And then we have the Seven Sirens. The PS4.
And this is the last one I played. I think this is the most recent and just phenomenal. Such a great game. I really, really can't recommend this enough. It's so much fun.
I'll actually play like 3/4 of this one, I think.
Yeah, they're not super
really
long,
good.
but they're just so much fun.
And speaking of things I would love to see come to... number one thing I would want to see is more Dreamcast games come to modern systems. We have Shenmue 1 and 2 collection.
So well done. I don't
Love
understand
these.
why there
They're
can't be more
so
of this.
good.
Not this, but
And then
stuff like that.
Shenmue 3, which I've been talking to some other people about this too. I will never be able to wrap my head around someone being disappointed by this game after that long, incredible wait, and finally getting something that didn't feel like it was super modernized, it didn't feel like it was super changed. You have all that stuff that was in there, even an entire little temple dedicated to fan stuff. It really felt like it's the backer edition.
You're like the only person that
A
still
game
has that.
made for fans. The far superior steelbook, this beautiful design. I loved every minute of this game. Play it through a couple times already, and play it through again someday, because I love Shenmue 3. And then we have Nocturne HD Remaster. I think this is the greatest dungeon crawler of all time. I love Shin Megami Tensei 3. I really hope they do Digital Devil Saga games next.
Yes.
Or
please.
the Devil Summoner games. Those would be good, but Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2.
They're so pretty.
Really hope they do those.
So. Why is Jack Frost on there? He's so. That's such a baby.
This era of Atlas on the PS2 was remarkable. They were one of the greatest. They're still amazing, but nothing quite compares to them during the PS2. Like how Square, they're like as Squaresoft in the 90s, that was their heyday. I think the PS2 was definitely the heyday for Atlas, and especially the SMT games.
Sir Love-A-Lot. It's such a pretty game. Is that it? That's limited run, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I love indie games. I feel like they don't get enough love.
Spider-Man.
This we came across at a thrift store. Have not played it, which is, I feel like we're like the only people who have not played it, but someday maybe.
Maybe. I am like obsessed with this game. Speaking of indie games, the one I'm Star Trek Resurgence, because we have it on PS4. Then I had to support them again on PS5 because I'm a huge Trekkie. If you're watching this video and you're not familiar with my stuff, I have an entire second channel devoted entirely to Star Trek because I love Star Trek, and this quickly became my favorite Star Trek game of all time.
Which is crazy because he's played a lot.
So many on the PC, especially in the 90s and early 2000s, and this was so close to being my ideal Star Trek game. It's like almost there to where a sequel to this could be the greatest Star Trek game ever, but yeah, this is my favorite, and I kind of want to play it again. I kind of want to play it again.
Switch?
Oh gosh, we'll talk about that when we get to the Switch. Stick It to the Man.
Stick It to the Man! This is the same people who did Flipping Death, and I love this art style. I know you're not a super fan of it, but they're so funny.
They do have a great sense of humor.
And they have such great soundtrack. It's just everything about this is just so creative.
And yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. All their games, the concepts are very creative, very original. There's a lot to like in that. New Super Lucky's Tale.
Oh, just another fun platformer. I really like platformers.
Tales of Berseria. I like the Tales series. I know the Tales of Grace's F remaster is out. Let me know if that is good. This one, maybe I have time, I might get to. This one I was a bit mixed on because I love the main character, Velvet. I like the majority of the cast, and I love the opening few hours of this. But after a while, it felt a little too just a typical Tales game. Like, nothing really set out. I think they kind of let the pirate theme go to waste, where you couldn't just free travel, and like it felt like it needed with the ship, it needed more of the pirate element, a little more adventures in the high seas. Like, they're just parts of this game that I loved and parts that I didn't. So I'm a bit mixed on that one.
You're gonna get a pirate game soon. So
Yes, I know. I'm
just
excited
relax.
for Yakuza, and this is one you just got recently, so
We
you haven't had a
just
chance to
got
get this.
But this is kind of a horror, puzzly platformer kind of game, and it looks really cool. I got this from VGP in Canada, which is really cool because you can get stuff really cheap.
It's amazing. It actually shipped from Canada.
Yeah, we've made just in time.
Tekken 7, the game that never stops updating every time you turn on the console.
That's true.
Tekken 7, it is a really good fighting game. For me, Tekken's 3, 4, and 5 and Tekken Tag Tournament are all like, those are like the peak ones during that era. 7 is still pretty good.
Yeah, I thought this was a good game. I enjoyed it. But not
Tearaway
as much
Unfolded,
as this.
Crafted Edition.
I love the paper games, and I wish I liked Mario better because I feel like I like Paper Mario, but this was so creative, and there was such great use of the controller. I know this was a PSP game,
Vita.
Vita game, but it was so creative, and I just had a great time with it. I really enjoyed it.
Something I played recently for PS5, the Tomb Raider 1, 2, 3 Remastered Collection. These were amazing. I love being able to switch between the original graphic style and the remaster on the fly, being able to switch between the remaster controls and the old style, like really be able to customize the experience, and these are definitely the definitive way of replaying these great classic PS1 games that I loved.
And you don't have to support limited run.
Yeah.
You were happy about that.
Very happy about that. Ones that I'm happy came out, but I'm very mixed on. We have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. I love the way they feel. They feel just like playing the old games. The remastered graphics are great, but a big part of those first few games in particular was a soundtrack.
Yes.
And the fact that the soundtrack, and I really hate a lot of the new songs, like genuinely.
I was really disappointed in a lot of the songs.
To where, like, I don't want to skip them or turn them off, because there's some that, like, because I don't necessarily have to love every song, but
it's so nostalgic.
Yeah, and they took me out of it.
Specific songs and specific places and levels, and it's weird hearing something else. It's really like it takes you out of it. It's like fourth wall breaking almost, which is weird.
Yeah. So it was still. I'm really happy this came out, and it was a lot of fun to revisit them. But we have copies of the old games.
And it makes sense why they had the problem, but.
When you found to be hilarious, but
I love this. This was so funny. I mean, it's a short little game and it's stupid, but I really liked it. I don't know. I like Rick and Morty though.
We have Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection with 1, 2, and 3 from the PS3.
Yes, I love Nathan Drake, and I just wish there was less shooting, which is a weird thing to say. This is the best one. Oh, by far. The story is fantastic. It's beautiful visuals, and I love the soundtrack. I just wish there was less shooting.
Yeah, that's the only reason I haven't gotten into them, is watching you play them. I like everything about them, except if there was, like, half as much shooting. It feels like there's these segments that are, like, Call of Duty-esque in them, and I hate that.
And I hate
Lost Legacy.
I hate the, like, gun collecting. I don't care. I don't care. There could be one gun. That's all I need. This is not an action hero. He's just Nathan Drake. He's Nathan Fillion. And we love him.
Until Dawn, another one of the first PS4 games we got.
This is the first one that we played. The first PS4 game that we played. And I loved this game. This was my first platinum. I had a great time. And I can't wait for the movie, which has nothing to do with this story.
One I wanted to like, because one genre that I miss, I grew up playing a ton of real-time strategy games. Warcraft, Starcraft, all kinds of stuff, Myth the Fallen Lords, and I thought this would kind of be a consoleized version of that, but I really hated the way this controlled the Valhalla Hills.
I didn't even know what I was supposed to be doing. I was so confused, and it was just unplayable after like a certain point. It was so frustrating.
Yeah, everything about it looks like a game I would love, and I really did not. And PS5, probably the most recent thing we've played, Black Myth Wukong, which from those years of trailers and things, I really was interested in, but neither of us are into the Souls-like type of
I
games.
didn't know what a Souls-like game was until
I
this, and now I do.
don't
and
like
I'm
playing games
very sad.
for frustration. Like, it just, I don't want to be frustrated in real life. I don't want to play a game to be frustrated. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like it.
I understand now what it is, and yet I go back to it and I think, okay, I'm just gonna beat this boss and then I can play the game. But then there's another boss and I have to grind more. I don't understand why you would do that to yourself. That
Yeah.
just sounds terrible.
It wasn't that it was a bad game.
No.
It just,
It's a beautiful game.
yeah, it was very disappointing
I'm
experience.
just so upset by it because I just want to play the game, and I feel like the game prevents me from playing the game. Oh no. Get ready, because here comes a wall.
Yeah, well, you made this happen, but
I
all
don't
of
want
my
you to blame me for
Like a
this.
Dragon, Yakuza games, I love this franchise. It is one of the best franchises going out there. We have Like a Dragon, Ishin,
This actually looked interesting, Ishin.
Zero,
It starts with the insanity.
the Steelbook of Kiwami, the remake of the original, Kiwami 2, the remastered collection, which has 3, 4, and 5.
We will not be getting the limited run versions of these.
Yeah, you pay like $80 for a cardboard box. So great for a game we already own. They have the Song of Life. They have, to me, the most underrated game in the series. Love 6, 7, Like a Dragon, first game with Ichiban.
Which we just realized was backwards, Kiryu? He's
the
dressed
color scheme.
backwards?
Man who erased his name, which I'm glad they learned their lesson from this, that they're going to be releasing physically the Goro game, the pirate adventure, because this was absurd that you had to import the physical edition for this game.
But I feel like Goro game other people could play besides Yakuza fans.
I think because it was the first of those guiding kind of side games, they didn't realize how successful it was going to be, and I don't know. But then we have Like a Dragon at number 8, Infinite Wealth, which I think is just the most fun. It's not my absolute favorite in the franchise, but it is easily the most fun. The one that I've already played through twice, even though it's only a year old, and I'll play again. This is a game, this is probably the one game in the franchise that if they did start porting all these to Switch 2, I would probably re-get, because this is just endlessly entertaining. I don't think I could ever get tired of all the stuff that you can do.
And you
in Infinite
played
Wealth.
Animal Crossing in it.
Yeah,
which
I
was
love-
the first time I ever...
Between my two playthroughs, I think I put like 50 hours in Dondoku Island. Like, Judgment, a series, I really hope we get a third one.
I don't know if that's
love
gonna
these,
happen.
Judgment and Lost Judgment.
I think that might be over.
Yeah, but still we're getting that Project Century, which kind of has a similar vibe to it, even though it's a historical one. I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, this is the collection so far for this amazing franchise. Yonder, Cloudcatcher Chronicles.
This is so much more like what I want from like Little Dragon's Cafe and Stardew Valley type things. It's more adventure-y and like
Kind of
just-
relaxing adventure.
Yeah, like wandering around, but I don't know.
Ukulele and The Impossible Lair and Ukulele.
These are such great games and yet so frustrating. I honestly think I like the first one better, even though the first one has a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was really frustrating. After a while, The Impossible Lair was a little too much.
It was impossible.
It was impossible. But the Banjo-Kazooie people are fantastic, and I hope we get more.
We had a lot of fun playing co-op. We have Zombie Vikings Ragnarok Edition.
Again, one of my favorite studios, and they're just so creative, and this was such a great game.
Yeah, and this is a really good game to pick up if you want to sit and play with your spouse or your friends. This is a really good multiplayer game. It's a lot of fun, up to 4 players, I think. We played it 2-player, and this is one of the better games that is
so good.
couch co-op. You don't have to be online or anything like that.
So good.
And the last thing so far in our PS4 and 5 collection as of 2025, in January, we have Zone of the Enders, the second runner. And I love this game. Part of me wishes they also had the first one, but I have them on the 360, the 1 and 2 collection. This is the better game. And it is, I think, still one of, if not the greatest action mech type game ever made.
But let us know if there's something that we should have in the collection that we don't have, because we're always looking for recommendations, and I feel like there's so many games now, especially things being remastered and remade, that sometimes things slip through the cracks, so we would love to hear.
Yep, and if you have a collection video of your own for your PS4 and 5 collection, make sure you link that down below and be
Yes,
sure to check
please.
it out.